All right, Yahrzeit, good morning. Good morning. Let us begin. Begin by thanking all of our sponsors for this morning's share. To thank our Talmud Torah sponsor for the year of Tafshin Pei Hey, the Tilson Mishpacha of Eretz Yisrael, for dedicating all the Shur and Drushos this year. And the zechus for besuros tovos for Am Yisroel. Our Talmud Torah sponsors for the month of Adar, Haba Alinu Latova, Teri and Steve Czinn, in loving memory of Teri's father, Dr. Kahn, Tzvi Hersch, Ben Yosef HaKohen, and the Ziv, Lavine, and Behrman families in memory of Mr. Willian Ziv, Zev Shmuel, Ben Yisroel, we hope to have the merit of our Talmud Torah, all of the Neshamas Lavine Aliyah, the families in Nechama, all of those who need a refuah, should have one together with Kol Cholei Yisrael. Bring home all of our hostages, and our holy soldiers should be successful. B'chol Maaseh Yedehem. Well, so with that, let us begin. We have a lot to do today, but really like a lot to do today, Baruch Hashem. Today's daf is Kuf 100, and we are beginning on Tzadik Tes Amud Beis 99b, and we left off, really incredible Gemara, we left off 4 lines down from the top. But let's instead look at it as 81 lines up from the bottom. You know, that's, let's be positive. Let's be positive about this, right? We got this. It says the Gemara as follows. We'll say beautiful Gemara. Amr Belazar. And again, two special welcomes. First of all, a special welcome to Rabbi Avi Tobias, who is one of our online listeners, Baruch Hashem, from New Jersey. Baruch Hashem. He didn't drive in this morning for the daf, but Baruch Hashem came in last night. Rabbi Avi, welcome. And a Baruch Haba to Rabbi Yosef Orshan. I just saw Yosef a second ago. Yosef in the back. Okay, with his not turning around, avoiding eye contact with me. Okay, good. That's right. Welcome to Yosef. It's good to have you in the show. I will say with that, let us begin. So Amar Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar says as follows. Rabbi say 5 lines down from the top. Kol Adam li'amal nivra. This is beautiful. Man was created to toil. Kol Adam, all of man was created to toil. Shnei Amar ki Adam la'amal yulad. Man was created to work. I just want to point out, we see this theme over and over and over in Gemara. Life is about the effort. Life is about the struggle. Sometimes the greatest mistake we make in life is we have this expectation that life is supposed to be comfortable and easy. Now, of course, there are periods when life is easy and there are periods when life is comfortable, but that is not the default state of the human condition. A person was put in this world to accomplish, and accomplishment only comes when there is struggle, when there is resistance, when there is work. Sometimes we encounter resistance and we think, that must mean we're doing something wrong. Fakir, it's just the opposite. Sometimes the greater the resistance, the greater the difficulty, the greater the challenge, that means that I'm usually on the cusp of something great. Adam la'amal nivra. So man was created to work. Ini, is that so? So sorry. Aval ini odea, or ini odea, im la'amal peh nivra, so I said this is very interesting. But again, okay, so man was created to work. So what was he created to work for? In other words, perhaps at the end of the day, he was created to shmooze. Or was he created ultimately again to work? So the Gemara says, Yeshu Omer, Ki akaf alav pihu, when the pasuk says ultimately again that literally I saddled to his mouth, the Gemara says, Havi Omer la'amal pen nivra. That shows me that man was ultimately again created for verbal toil. Now, of course, what does verbal toil represent? It represents Torah. It represents Torah, that a person was put in this world ultimately to toil in Torah. But adayin eni odea. So the Gemara said, but still, eni odea, I don't know, im la'amal Torah, im la'amal sicha. So again, I know that there's verbal toil. Does verbal toil mean shmuzing, or does verbal toil mean Torah? Keshu omer, lo yomosh sefer Torah zemipicha, hevi omer la'amal Torah nivra. Ultimately, again, when it says this Sefer Torah will never leave your mouth, it teaches me that the verbal toil that I am obligated to do is verbal toil in Torah. And this is what Rava says, Kulu gufi draftaki, or druftaki ninu. So I'll say ultimately, again, the entire body was committed to toil. However, tov l'dizochi dahavi druftaki da'oraisa. Praiseworthy is the person whose toil ultimately is in Torah. So everybody has to work. Everybody has to put in effort. But praiseworthy is the person whose effort has to be expended towards Torah. Both say tremendous. So there's a lot of lessons to be gleaned over here. So of course, again, there's the lesson that life is about the struggle. It really is. It's about the effort. It's about putting in the effort. It's about willingness to work hard. But I'll say what it also tells us is, and this is very important, Torah itself cannot be acquired in comfort. I remember that in yeshiva, one of the most profound Musar Shmuzin that I ever heard was the Mashgiach had gotten up, this Rabbi HaKohen had gotten up, and he said, he's like a firebrand type of personality, and he said, if you think that you're going, he was mamash yelling it, if you think that you are going to find greatness in Torah with your Gemara in one hand, your Coke in the other hand, and your feet up on the couch, you're thinking to yourself, that sounds great. That sounds great. I'll take that. He says, if you think you're going to find greatness in Torah, you are wrong. You are dead wrong. He says, you could acquire knowledge that way, right? You could acquire knowledge, comfortable, soda, l'chaim, feet up. Of course you could acquire knowledge. You can't acquire Torah. Torah is acquired through struggle. Torah is acquired through effort. Torah is even acquired through a little bit of discomfort. That's the way it works. I have to push myself. The concept of, because that's the mechanism. In other words, it's not just that Torah is acquired through learning. Okay, that you could acquire anything through learning. What makes Torah different than any other discipline? It's the struggle piece. If I have to push myself to get it, if I have to push myself, if it's uncomfortable or it's a little bit difficult, that's ultimately again where Torah comes from. Incredible. All right, let's go back there. Says the Gemara. Says in Mara, B'noif isha chasalev. This is wild. So literally again, the pasuk says, a man who commits adultery, B'noif isha chasalev, is missing heart. Now, first of all, just in general, the profundity of that pasuk is pretty overwhelming. That here, this is Shalom Aleichem Mishlei, that a person who engages in immoral conduct, what's the problem? So we often think a person commits adultery, or a person goes out and engages in any immorality. So what is that? It's about taiva. It's about taiva. Obviously, a person can't keep their desires in check. Shalom Aleichem says that's not what it is. It's not taiva. It's chaser leiv. It's chaser leiv. I'm missing hearts, right? I'm missing passion. I'm missing commitment. Everyone, we all have this void inside of ourselves. And in life, we go through life trying to fill it. The shaila is what you fill it with. So it's easy to fill it with things that make me feel good, but they make me feel good in a very fleeting way. So someone who engages in immorality, it's not just that he has a problem with his desires and lusts. It's chaser leiv. He's missing his heart. He's missing his thought. He's missing his emotions. He doesn't understand that those things that he's filling his void with are not going to make him happy. They're not going to give him what he wants. In fact, at the end of the day, it's just going to make me feel more empty. The Gemara goes right there. So this is this. I'm Reish Lakish. Reish Lakish says, what does this refer to? This is incredible. Zehalomed Torah leprakim. This is wild. This refers to someone who learns Torah episodically. Today I learn, tomorrow I don't learn, the next day I learn a little more, the next day a little bit less. If you're not consistent in your Torah study, the Gemara Reish Lakish says, that is like a man who commits adultery. Now what is that about? So Rashi points out to her something very interesting. If you look at Rashi says over here, lo me Torah leprakim, ve'eno lo me tadir, ve'eno lo me tadir, k'mi she'en lo isha, uba pamim zu. So a person's not married, so what happens? Sometimes he's with this woman, sometimes he's with that woman, and sometimes he's with this one, sometimes he's with that one. So what happens? So the Gemara says so sometimes a person who goes ahead and is not consistent in their learning. So a person who is not consistent in their learning is like this guy. Sometimes he's with this one, sometimes he's with that one. In other words, it's not just the fact that I'm learning every day. I'm learning every day in a consistent fashion. That lack of consistency, Shlomo Melech compares to a life of immorality. Overwhelming. Shneimar, ki noim ki tishmei b'mitnecha, yikonu yachtav asasach. Torah bonon. V'nefesh asher taseh b'yad rama. A person will act impotently. Yad Rama means like an outstretched hand, intentionally. Zeh Menashe ben Chizkiah. This refers to Menashe ben Chizkiah. Shayoshe b'daros b'hagadol shal dofi. Who would expound, he would teach just nonsensical drushas in Torah. Amar v'chi lo haya l'Moshe lichtov ela v'achas lo tantimna v'timna haisa pilegesh le'elifas v'yelech Ruven b'mei kitzir chitim v'yimtza duda'im basada. So what Menashe used to do is Menashe ben Chizkiah, he would quote these psukim in the Torah, and these psukim at first glance seems totally irrelevant. Like for example, why do I need to know that the sister of Lotan was Timnah? And Timnah was the concubine to Eliphaz. Eliphaz was the son of Esav. Who cares? Who cares? Like, what does it matter to us? Or that Reuven went out into the field to collect dudaim. Who cares? So Menashe would say it's clear that the Torah either is not authentic, the Torah maybe it's not all from God, because after all, you have all of these psukim in there that don't seem to make any type of logical sense and don't really seem to matter all that much. So the Gemara says as follows: Yatsa Baskal ba'amralo. So Baskal came out and said, Tasha ba'chicha tidaber, bebeni mecha titain dofi. Eila asisa v'charashti, dames hayos eya kamocha ochicha va'ercha le'necha v'ala meforish b'kabbalah. Hi much. Okay, so we'll say that Baskal came out and said, essentially, you don't know what you're talking about. You're rebelling against your brother, rebelling against your sister. As we're going to see in just a moment, every pasuk in Torah has profound meaning. The Gemara says furthermore, v'alav meforish b'kabbalah, about a person like Menachem ben Chizkiah, it said, Hay moshchea avon bechevle hashav u'ka'avos ha'gala chet'ah. So I'll say this is actually very profound. Hay moshchea bechevle hashav is, woe to those who pull sin with the ropes of nothingness, u'ka'avos ha'gala chet'ah. And literally again, the what do you call it? Rope. Yeah, avos also means like ropes. Yeah, and the ropes of the wagon, what is it? Reins. And the reins of the wagon are sin. So the Gemara says, Bose, if you notice in the pasuk, they're very interesting. The pasuk begins by speaking about Moshchea Avam Bechevle Hashav, pulls sin with ropes of nothingness, right? Chevle, a chevel is like a rope. And then it begins to speak about Uka'avos Hagala, reins. Reins are thicker than ropes. So the Gemara says, what does this mean? Amrabasi Yetzahara B'tchila Doma L'chut Shel Kuvya Ulbasov Dumya La'avos Hagala. Wow. So I'll say, listen to this. You know the way it works with sin is that in the beginning, sin only holds on to me by like a spider's web. Just like a rope of spider's web, a thin rope of the spider's web. But at the end, it holds on to me with the rope, with the reins of a wagon. I'll say, what a profound Gemara. Like sometimes again, when we, in the beginning, when there's the Yetzirah has a very limited hold on me. And its hold is only like a spider's web. I could easily break free. But after a while of choosing not to break free, making the conscious choice not to break free, sin holds on to me with the thickest of reins. Incredible. So the Gemara goes weiter. I understand the Gemara is rebuking Menashe ben Chizkiah. But Lamaisa, what is the purpose of these psukim? Right? In other words, why does the Torah tell me about Timnah, the daughter of Lotan, who becomes the concubine of Eliphaz? Like, who cares? They both say, get ready for this Gemara. This is ridiculous. So the Gemara says, Timnah bas malachim havi. Timnah was a princess. She was a princess. V'chsev aluf Lotan, aluf Timnah. V'chol aluf malchus sabalotaga. The word aluf means essentially a king without a crown. In other words, like a assistant king, a kingala. Like a little, not quite, but so also monarchy. So Timnah was monarchy. So what happened? She wanted to convert. Timnah wanted to convert. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov would not accept her as a giores. So she became a prilegesh of Eliphaz, the son of Esav. Amra, she said to herself, it is better to be a maidservant to Klal Yisrael than it is to be a princess for another nation. Nafak mina Amalek Titzarin Yisrael. Who was her son? Her most famous son. The most famous son of Timnah was Amalek. Amalek is the grandson of Esav, the son of Eliphaz and Timnah. So the Gemara says, Titzarin Yisrael. Amalek again, who gives us problems to this very day. The Gemara says, by the way, my timeout. So what is this? What a crazy story. So Timnah wanted to go ahead and convert. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov said essentially no. She goes and she marries Eliphaz, and they have Amalek. So the fact that she produced a kid, what is this? To which the Gemara says, is incredible. The Gemara says, Dilo iboy le lerachka. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov should not have distanced her. And I will say, Rabbi Shmuel Silber has in Sichos Musar a very beautiful piece about this. And he highlights this idea, what is going on over here? So Rabbi Shmuel Silber says something beautiful. He says, it's possible that they were right in not converting her. It's possible that maybe they saw something. Obviously, look, let's go through it. If she becomes the mother of Amalek, there's something broken there. There's clearly something broken there. So the Avos might have had a very legitimate reason for not converting her. But sometimes, even if you have to say no to someone, there's a way to say no to someone. There's a way to deal with someone. Sometimes we have to say things to people that they don't want to hear. We have to do things to people that could be hurtful and difficult. But there's a way to do it to minimize the personalistic pain. And apparently what the Gemara is doing is the Gemara is holding the avos liable for how they dealt with Timnah. Not necessarily liable for telling her no and not converting her, but holding her liable for how they dealt with her. An incredible, incredible Yisrael will say this. Sometimes, again, what has to happen is going to be difficult and painful. But the way you deal with people in difficult situations and the way you make them feel and the way they walk away from the interaction, for that is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges us. Incredible. Incredible. So now we'll say, so now why is it? So now story of Reuven. Why does Rav tell me that Reuven was collecting flowers? Like what's the pshat over there? So very simple. Where was Reuven collecting flowers from? Where was he collecting flowers from? From the field, from Hefker. So what's the whole point of the story? What's the point of the story? They will say, you're walking by someone's yard, you see a flower over there. Okay, it's just a flower, I just pick it. Reuven was makbid that if he was going to bring home flowers for his mother, where was it going to come from? Hefker. Why? Because tzaddikim are careful with the property of other people. He found flowers in the field. Mai dudaim amarav yavruchi. Okay, it's the type of flower. Levi Amar Sigli, Rabbi Yonasan Amar Sivsiki. Okay, different types of flowers. So we'll say, so it turns out that again, even the psukim that we say to ourselves, like, there's no deeper meaning in that. There's deeper meaning in everything. So the story of Timnah, because again, she was rejected by the Avos, becomes the mother of Amalek. From here we see, sometimes you have to reject people, sometimes you have to say no, but how you do it, the manner in which you interact is of key importance. Reuven, why is Torah telling me about Tudaim? Because what makes tzaddikim tzaddikim? It's not just the amount of Torah, it's not just the amount of Torah that they learn. What makes tzaddikim tzaddikim is their interpersonal interactions as well. A tzaddik is careful not to hurt and not to harm the other, even in the smallest of ways. Incredible. Let's go back to Rabbi Sandri. This is crazy. Kala osik b'Torah l'shma, mesim shalom b'pamalya shalmala or b'pamalya shalmata. Let's say a person learns Torah l'shma. What does he do? He makes shalom between the celestial sphere and the earthly sphere. And I will say, what's Torah l'shma? What's Torah l'shma? Torah l'shma, by the way, learning Torah at this time of the morning is Torah l'shma, right? How do you know that? Because you are too tired to have any other intentions for anything else, right? It's not, I say Torah l'shma just means Torah for the sake of Torah. It's not Torah for kavod. It's not Torah for money. It's not Torah for self-aggrandizement. It's not Torah to look frum in the eyes of you. It's just Torah because learning Torah is beautiful, and learning Torah offers me an avenue of connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When I learn Torah l'shma, that creates harmony between heaven and earth. Heaven and earth, I will say, it's such a beautiful yisod. What is Torah? Torah is the bridge. Torah is the bridge. Do you ever wonder why it is that when you learn Torah, you feel a certain level of tranquility? Right? It's interesting. A person can feel a level of tranquility by Torah that you can't feel by anything else. Why is that? Because on one hand, Torah comes from Shamayim, but it lives here. Torah is the daughter of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but yet she belongs to me. So, which seems inherently contradictory, but that's the beauty of it. Torah bridges these two worlds. So when a person learns Torah l'shma, literally they create that equilibrium, that harmony between heaven and earth. And we feel that harmony, we feel that equilibrium, we feel that tranquility. So the Gemara Shnei Amar, Yechazik b'moze yaseh shalom li, shalom yaseh li. Amarav. So Rav says, when you learn Torah, it's as if you're building the palace of the Ribbon Shalom, Shalmata, and the palace of the Beis Mikdash Shalmata. Shnei Amar, va'asim divrei ficha v'tzayadi kisisicha, lintoa shamayim v'lisod aretz. Amrei Shlakish, af magin al kala olam kulo. When you learn Torah, you protect the entire world. Torah migna umatzla. Torah has the ability to protect. When I learn Torah, ultimately, again, I'm creating some level of protection for the world as a whole. Shnei Amar, ubetzel yadi kisisicha. Levi says, af mekariv es hageula. Wow. When you learn Torah, you're bringing Geula just a little bit closer. What's the right? We all want to know what we can do to bring Mashiach a little bit closer. We're learning all these Mashiach sugyas. All I want more than anything in life is Geula's Mashiach. So what could I do? So I learn. Every time I learn, I bring Mashiach closer. By the way, it's not just learning. It's any spiritual activity. By definition, hastens the Geula. Shnei Amar, Velomar, Letzion, Amiyat. Amrei Shlakish. Kol HaMelamed es ben Chavir Torah. Ma'ala ala bakasav kilu asal. It's beautiful. If you teach the son of your friend Torah, it's counted as if you've created him. You've created him Shene Emar, Ve'es HaNefesh Asher Asu B'Charan. By Avram Avinu, Torah says, Avram made neshamas in Charan. How did he taught them Torah? When you teach Torah, you are given credit almost as if you've birthed the individual, which makes perfect sense, because when I teach someone Torah, by definition, I'm giving them life. Torah's life. Torah's everything. So when I go ahead and I give them Torah mamish, it's as if I've birthed them. Rabbi Elazar Omer, Kilo Asa'an L'Divrei Torah. This is beautiful. Rabbi Elazar says that when you learn Torah, listen to this, it's as if you've created those very words of Torah. Now, at first glance, that seems a little bit strange, and even a little bit intense. Now, what does that mean? I've created Torah. So let's say what the Gemara is telling us. Rashi says, "Ki'ilu asa lo osa dvar mitzvah." Let's say, in general, when a person engages in the act of spirituality, what's important to understand is, I'm creating something new, right? When I learn a piece of Torah, so what I'm doing is, there is spiritual energy that is being created that wasn't here before in this world. I do a mitzvah, I'm creating something new. I do a chesed, I'm creating something new. The beauty of Yiddishkeit and the beauty of Torah, chesed, everything we do is we create new spiritual energy in this world that did not exist beforehand. Has somebody been learning Sanhedrin, Sadik Tesima Beis? Sure, but it wasn't me. Now that I'm doing it, I'm creating new spiritual energy in this world. And when I create something, I'm creating it. It didn't exist before, and I'm creating it now. Incredible. So the Gemara says, Rava says, Kilo asa atzmo. Kilo asa li atzmo. We'll say this is beautiful. When you learn Torah, get ready for this. When a person learns Torah, it is considered as if a person is creating himself. Himself. I was saying, every single time I learn, I'm recreating me from new. Isn't that overwhelmingly beautiful? I was, I think for many of us, right? If you had one wish in the world, what would it be? One wish. One wish. No one ever thinks about this? Right? One wish? Start again. Start again. Right? What I wouldn't give, like, for a do-over. Now, for a do-over, with all the knowledge that I have now about all the incredible mistakes that I've made over the course of life, right? Just a do-over, like a Talmud, like, wouldn't that be can you imagine that? Armed with all of the knowledge you have, the ability to start over again and make good decisions, avoid the poor ones, put my time where it needs to be. And also, you know what the beautiful part is? Every single time I learn, the Gemara says, Kilo asa li atzmo. I am recreating myself with the very fabric of creation. In other words, remember, the world was created with Torah. Histakel ba'oraiso bara'ama. Hashem looked in the Torah and He created the world. So by definition, when I learn, I'm utilizing the blueprint of creation. And the Gemara says, when I learn, I literally have the ability and opportunity to remake myself. So that thing that we want more than anything, a fresh start, is available to us with every single line that we learn. Incredible. Shenemar v'asisim osam atikri osam ela atem. Rabbi Yavo. This is great. If you force your friend to do a mitzvah, how can you force your friend to do a mitzvah? There are many ways you can force your friend. Public shaming is an excellent way, right? Public embarrassment, right? There are plenty of ways to force people to do mitzvahs. And don't feel bad about it. Don't feel bad about it. It's okay to put people on the spot to do a mitzvah. It's okay to make people uncomfortable so that they feel like they have no choice but to go ahead and do something. And guess what? If you force someone and back them into a corner to do something, you get credit. The forcer, right? If that's the right word. The forcer or the enforcer, right? The forcer, the one who forced the other person to do something, gets credit for the mitzvah. So they both say, but this is incredibly important, right? You know, in today's society, everything is all about making people feel comfortable, right? Well, actually, not anymore. I guess that's changing now, right? But Lamais, right? It's all about everyone should feel comfortable. Who says that making people feel comfortable is the right thing? Of course, we're supposed to make people feel comfortable, like in a Klal Yisrael sense. I will say, but so much of life is making people feel uncomfortable so that they're able to go ahead and push themselves to accomplish the things they really need to accomplish, but they just feel so comfortable that they don't want to move. Right? So the Gemara says it's okay to utilize this. This is a very important yesod in parenting also. It's okay to make your kids uncomfortable, because sometimes when you create that discomfort, by definition, that pushes them to become more and to do more. This is certainly important for ourselves. And if you do that, the forcer gets credit as if he did a good deed. Shneimar. So it's interesting. Hashem refers to Moshe Rabbeinu, the staff that you, Moshe, used to hit the Nile. Moshe didn't hit the Nile. Aaron hit the Nile. But since Moshe told Aaron to do it, and Aaron did it because of the forcing of Moshe, therefore Moshe gets credit as if he did it. Incredible. Apikoris. So also the Gemara says, remember again, these people don't have a chiduk olam haba. So who are these people? So the Gemara says, what's an apikoris? Rabbi Chanina Amitar Bayu. What's an apikoris? An apikoris is someone who embarrasses a Talmid Chacham. Or it's not really just embarrass, it's degrade. Right? Bizu means to degrade. Right? To diminish the honor of a Talmid Chacham. So the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yeshua, and Levi Amar, Zemavazas Chavero B'fnei Talmid Chacham. This refers to someone who embarrasses his friend or degrades his friend in the presence of Talmid Chacham. By the way, I think this is fascinating. Right? This is never the way we ever thought about apikoris. Right? Apikoris was always much more like theological. Here it's interesting that the Gemara is describing it as someone who either degrades Talmidei Chachamim or degrades his friend in the presence of Talmidei Chachamim. Very interesting. So the Gemara says, I understand if you say that apikoris is one who embarrasses his friend in front of Talmid Chacham. So the Gemara says, Talmid Chacham atzmo megala panim b'torah shelo k'halacha. Havi. Then if you embarrass Talmid Chacham himself, that's called megala panim b'torah shelo b'halacha. That literally, again, expounding Torah in an inappropriate way. That's called embarrassing a Talmid Chacham. But if you say that embarrassing a Talmid Chacham himself, that's an apikoris, then what's the category of megala panim batorah shelo k'halacha? Literally like expounding Torah in an inappropriate way. What does that refer to? Kigon Menashe ben Chizkiah. That goes as Menashe ben Chizkiah. What did Menashe ben Chizkiah say? Menashe ben Chizkiah was the one who said, "Come on, why does Torah need all of these nonsensical psukim? Like Reuven went to get to Dudaim, like Timnah became the wife of Eliphaz. Vika Masnila Asefa." Others explain this differently. Megala panim batorah. What's megala panim batorah? Rabbi Chanina Amri Zemavasa Talmid Chacham. This refers to someone who embarrasses the Talmid Chacham. Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Shmuel, and Levi Amri Zemavasa es Chavero b'fnei Talmid Chacham. Okay, so Bishlam Laban Damar Vaza Talmid Chacham Atzmo Megala Panim Batorah. So if you say that degrading a Talmid Chacham himself, that's called Megala Panim Batorah. So the Gemara says, Mevaza Chavero b'fnei Talmid Chacham apikoris. Fine, then if you embarrass your friend, you're an apikoris. But if you say that ultimately, again, embarrassing your friends in front of a Talmid Chacham, that's Megala Panim Batorah, then what's an apikoris? What is that? What's Zev Shmuel apikoris? Rabbi Yosef Kigon Hani Da Amri Mai Ahanu L'Rabanan. So what's an apikoris? This is interesting. Another interpretation of apikoris is people who say, "What good are the rabbis?" Right? What exactly do the rabbis do? Right? What do you do all day? Right? What is it exactly that you do for us? So the Gemara says, I'm sorry. All they do is they learn, but they learn for themselves, they interpret, they do all these things, but all of these things are just for themselves. They don't really benefit us, the general population. Only Abai says, whoa, hi megala panim batorah namihu. That's also megala panim batorah. That's not just an apikoris. That's also inappropriate interpretation or expounding on the Torah. Dichsev im lo brisi yomam valayla chukos shamayim va'aretz lo samti. Rav Nachman Yitzchak mehachanami shmamino sheneemar v'nasasi l'chol hamakom ba'avuram elo kigon di Yosef kamei rabei v'nafal l'shmaita b'duchtes. So what's an example of an apikoris? Here's about apikoris. You're sitting in front of your Rebbe and you're learning something. V'nafal l'shmaita b'duchtei achrisi v'amar hachi aminan hasam v'lo amar hachi amar mar. So an example of an apikoris would be a person's learning with their Rebbe. They're learning a particular topic, and it's reminiscent of something else that the Rebbe says, and the Talmud quotes the other teaching, but doesn't quote the teaching in the name of his Rebbe. considered to be insolent behavior, which I will say, by the way, is very dramatic. Not at all, I think, how we imagine what an apikoris would be. But you begin to see that again, the apikoris is this person who does not exhibit the appropriate behavior towards his Rebbe. Now let's say, why all the emphasis on the behavior from one's Rebbe? So first of all, understand, let's say from the Gemara perspective, your Rebbe was the one who was your link in the Czinn of Torah Shebal Peh. Right? It's not like today. It's not like today, Baruch Hashem, a person really, like we live in a time where a person, even if they didn't have a Rebbe, okay, all of us need a Rebbe, but even without it, I could learn. In times of the Gemara Torah Shebal Peh, mamish, like the Rebbe was my link in the chain. Disrespecting of that link, by definition, inherently tarnished your Torah. And tarnished Torah, compromised Torah, could in fact be dangerous. The Gemara says, Rava Amar Kigon Hani Debei Binyamin Asya. Dharma, listen to this. So what's an example of apikoris? It's like the people of the house of Binyamin Asya. Asya is a doctor. Binyamin the doctor. What do they do, Binyamin the doctor? They Amri, my ahani le rabbanan. What? Why? How do the rabbis benefit us? Like, right? What do they do that's actually beneficial? After all, top of kuf, we'll say 100. Credible. Lo sharon or vavalo asrulon yona. It's not like they ever did anything special, right? What do the rabbis do? The rabbis just simply tell us what we already know. It's not like the rabbis figured out a way to permit the raven or to prohibit the dove, right? In other words, what they were saying in Yom is like, come on, it's not like the rabbis are figuring out anything new or doing anything all that different, right? They're just regurgitating information that we already know. So the verse is incredible. Rava, kavamaisi trifta de Binyamin. You know, it's interesting. So when in the household of Binyamin the doctor, when they would have a shayla, and they would go ahead and bring it to Rava. Listen to this. Ki havi chavzi bei taima lehatera, when he would find the reason to permit the treifa, amar lahu tichazu dekasharina lahu arva. Look, I'm permitting for you a raven. In other words, so Rava would say, it's not so clear that this animal is kosher, right? So that the shechita is kosher. So look, I'm permitting for you a raven. Or kiavachazi le taima isura, or when there would be a reason for an isur, amar lahu tichazu dekasarna lahu yona. Look, I'm prohibiting to you a yona. In other words, Rava said a little tongue in cheek. I will say, what's amazing about this story? Here, in Binyamin the doctor's household, they disparaged the Rabbanim. But yeah, what? When they needed them, they showed up. I will say, such a profound, it's always easy. It's always easy to knock down leadership. This is in general, and this is very societal. For whatever reason, we have an overwhelming preoccupation with knocking people off pedestals for whatever the reason that is. So again, especially when it comes to it's easy to everybody can be knocked off a pedestal because everybody's a human being and everybody has their faults and deficiencies. But incredible enough. So here you go, Binyamin Asya, they're speaking trash about the Rabbanim. But yet again, when they need Rava, when they have a shayla, suddenly again they need it. Incredible. Gemara goes weiter. The Gemara says as follows: Rapapa Amar Kigon da Amar Hani Rabbanan. What's an example of an apikoris? Apikoris is an example of a person who says, those rabbis. Those rabbis. In other words, again, if you notice, by the way, the theme over here is that apikoris is someone who speaks disparagingly about Rabbanim, about Talmidei Chachamim. Rapapa Ishtali va'amar Kigon Hani Rabbanan. Rapapa was once engaged in a discussion, and he forgot for a moment the proper way to refer to the Rabbanim, and he said, those rabbis. And after he said it, the Esav Betanisa, he fasted. He fasted because he thought what he did was so profoundly disrespectful. Incredible. Levi Bar Shmuel v'Ravuna Bar Chia have kamatakni mapechos sifrei debei Rav Yehuda. This is beautiful. Levi Bar Shmuel and Ravuna Bar Chia were changing the covering of the scrolls in the yeshiva or in the house of Rav Yehuda. Kimatu Megillas Esther, when they got to Megillas Esther, Amri, they said, Hi Megillas Esther lo bai mitpachas. Megillas Esther doesn't need a cover. Amr lahu, ki ai gavna nami mechse kapikorsa. A statement like this, without attribution to their Rebbe, also has the appearance of apikarsos. Incredible. Rav Nachman Amr zah korei rabo b'shmo. What's apikarsos? Calling your Rebbe by his name. That's apikarsos. Why was Gechazi? Gechazi, remember again, was like the Gabbai. Was the Gabbai of Elisha. Why was he punished? Because he called Elisha by name. Elisha. Can't call your Rabbi by his first name. So therefore, and to do so is apikarsos. Yasser Rabbi Yirmiyah, Kamid Rabbi Zerav, Yosef Kamar. Asila Kadosh Baruch Hu is beautiful. This is Beautiful. Asadak Kodesh Baruch Hu lahotzi nachal mi beis kachi hakadoshim. In the future, I will say, in the future, now, usually asid means Yimos HaMashiach, right? The Rebbe will bring a river or a stream from the Kodesh HaKadoshim. There's going to be a stream that flows the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Va'alav kol minei megadim. And by the sides of the stream, all types of delicacies are going to be growing. Shene'emar va'ala nachal ya'ala asvaso mizeh u'mizeh kol eitz ma'achal lo yibol aleu. So again, from this stream, on its banks, all types of beautiful trees, fruit trees will spring up. Lo yibal, its leaves will never wither. For lo yitom perio lechadsho, and every month, essentially, the trees will bring forth new fruit. Yivaker ki meimav min hamikdash hema yotzim, because again the waters emanate from the mikdash. V'haya perio lema'achal, its fruit will be for consumption. Va'alehu litrufa, and ultimately its leaves will be for healing purposes. Incredible. Amalehu Saba Yasher. So we'll say, so what happens? So remember, this is Rabbi Yirmiyah was sitting in front of Rabbi Zera, and Rabbi Yirmiyah said over this pasuk. He said over the drasha. He said, in the future a stream will come out from the Beis HaMikdash. He quoted this pasuk. So as you're having this conversation, Amalehu Saba, there was an older gentleman who was sitting there as this was being said, and he said, Shkoyach, Yasher. He said to Rabbi Yirmiyah, yeah, Shkoyach, beautiful. V'chein Rabbi Yochanan, Yasher. This appears like apikorsos. So this is like we're really getting into a very strict definition over here. So in other words, I don't know, everybody likes a shkoyach, right? But apparently, again, when the shkoyach is given to the gadol, it has the, I guess it depends who you give the shkoyach to and what you're giving the shkoyach for. But if Rabbi Yirmiyah says something and just some guy says shkoyach, that Rabbi Yirmiyah doesn't need your shkoyach, right? That's not the way to give your shkoyach. Amrlei hi siya kamasayalecha. But again, no, the shkoyach is an affirmation over here. In other words, what the older man was affirming that which Rabbi Yirmiyah was saying. Ela ishmiyalecha. So what could be wrong with that? Ela ishmiyalecha hashmiyalecha ki hadiyas Rabbi Yochanan the kadarish. Rabbi Yochanan darshan the We'll say if you want to see an example of apikarsos, we'll say there's so much to say, by the way, in that Gemara with the stream coming out of the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Like, what is that? What is that? A stream coming out of Kodesh HaKadoshim? So we'll say, so again, I want to point out something amazing. What does water represent? In general, what does water represent? Water represents Tara. Right? Water represents everything. It's interesting. Water is one of those things with multiple layers of symbolisms. Right? Again, it represents Torah. It represents life. It represents creation. But really, what water represents is this notion of tar. Why does water represent tar? A person's tamei, they go into a body of water, they become tar. Why does water do that? So Rabbi Soloveitchik has a beautiful interpretation of this. Rabbi Soloveitchik explains his lashon is water is the primordial substance of creation. Meaning what? I don't know what primordial means, but lamaisa, right, but it sounds so good. It's a primordial substance of creation. One more time, the primordial substance of creation. If you throw in the hand motions, you look very professorial. So lamaisa, why? Originally, all the earth was water. So Soloveitchik says something so beautiful. When you immerse yourself in water, you are surrounding yourself by the very substance of creation. So I go in tamei and I come out someone else. That's why it's only water that could affect Tara, because water is the substance of creation. You could recreate yourself in water. What does it mean that lamaisa, a stream comes out of the Kodesh HaKadoshim? We'll say, when you think about Kodesh HaKadoshim, what do you think about? Kodesh HaKadoshim is that's like the top of the mountain. I mean, quite literally, it's the top of the mountain, top of Har Bayis, right? That's like the peak of Kedusha. If somebody were to ask you, so where do you go past the Kodesh HaKadoshim? There's nowhere, at least not in this world, but there is. There's no such thing as reaching the ceiling of Kedusha. Even if you're in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, there's a stream that comes out of the Kodesh HaKadoshim. What does the stream represent? The stream is Torah, stream is water, stream is creation, stream is recreation, stream is building. Even from the Kodesh HaKadoshim itself, there's places to go. There's water to immerse yourself in. There's no such thing as a ceiling when it comes to our growth. Even after you make it to the Holy of Holies, there's still more to do. Incredible. So the Gemara goes right there. Let's see a story about apikarsos. The Rabbi Yochanan Chadarish Asech Baruch Hu lahavi avanim tovos. We've actually seen this story before. Basra. Listen to this. In the future, Messianic era, tovos umargolios shehein shloshim al shloshim amos. In the future, the Rebbe Shalom is going to bring precious stones that are 30 amos by 30 amos. V'chokik bohen eseberum esrim uma'amin mishar Yerushalayim. And what happens? The Rebbe Shalom is going to go ahead, and he's going to chisel out these stones into entrance ways of 10 amos by 20 amos. 20 amos by 10 amos, right? And what happens? And these are going to be the entrance way to Yerushalayim. Incredible. Shneimar v'samti ki dekorshim shosayich v'sharayach la'avnei ekdach. So Rabbi Yochanan is giving this over. Ligleg alav also Talmud. So there was a Talmud sitting in Shir, and he chuckled. He chuckled at this. He said essentially, that's ridiculous. Hashta kibi asad tziltzala lo mishkachinon kule hamishkachinon. So I don't understand. Today, you can't find precious stones that are the size of the eggs of small birds or small eggs of birds. Eggs of small birds, right? So in other words, Talmud will say, come on. You're going to find precious stones that are 30 amos by 30 amos. That's big stones. Also, it's very big stones. Right? It's like 45 feet by 45 feet. Like, what? You're going to find stones that are that big? So you can't even find small stones like this. Okay, that's the end of the story. What happened? So the Gemara says, the Yomim, first wide line, the Yomim, Hefligas Finas Bayam. One day this Talmud was traveling by sea. And what happened? Chazinu Lamalach Yasharis te Kaminasri Avarim Tovos or Margolios. He saw in the midst of the ocean angels that were there chiseling out stones. Amr Lahu, Hani Laman. So the Talmud says, no, who is this for? Who is this for? Amri Asrach Baruch Hu La'amida Mashar Yerushalayim. Says the Malachim said, these are the stones that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is creating for the entranceway to Yerushalayim. Which I will say, by the way, is such a beautiful idea. You see this motif over and over and over. The Rebbe Shalom is preparing every day for the Beis HaMikdash, right? In other words, let's be honest. How long would it take HaKadosh Baruch Hu to fashion these stones? He could snap his proverbial fingers and we're done. We're done. The idea is, the Ribono Shel Olam waits for us. We wait for him like we saw before. Everybody's waiting for Mashiach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is waiting. Klal Yisrael is waiting. The world is waiting. Everything is waiting. All the pieces are here. We just have to push ourselves a little bit more, just to do a bit more, just to grow a bit more, learn a bit more tzedakah, a bit more chesed, and we can bring this. But again, the Malachim are working on it. As we sit here, the Malachim are working on the gateway to Yerushalayim. So what happens? So the Talmud comes back. So again, the Talmud comes back to the Beis Medrash, and he finds Rabbi Yochanan is darshaning. Amarlei Rebbe, drosh ulecha na'a lidrosh. This is such a chutz, right? The Talmud comes in, he says, Rabbi, preach, right? Preach. Continue to preach. And you're a shkoyach to you, right? You're doing a great job. After all, kashem shamarta kach ra'isi. Exactly what you taught in Shir, I saw it with my own eyes. I saw the Malachim making the entranceway. Amar lo Reka. So Rabbi Yochanan says to him, tell me, you empty one. Im lo ra'is lo ha'emanta. And had you not seen it, you wouldn't have believed it. Melagleg al divrei chachamim ata. You are one who disparages the words of Chazal. Yohev be'enei va'asa gal shalatzamos. Rabbi Yochanan set his eyes upon him, and he became a pile of bones. So we'll say, so again, first of all, we've seen before, in general, when the Gemara talks about becoming a pile of bones, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean death? Does that mean just the person, unfortunately, again, is deprived of their holiness? Again, leaving there, we can just take the Pasha Pshat of here. And I will say, what a profound Gemara. The whole essence of Yiddishkeit is to believe what you can't see. If you can see it, then it's not belief. If you can see it, then it's not believed. The most beautiful, the hardest thing about Yiddishkeit, which ultimately, again, is the most beautiful thing about Yiddishkeit, is the ability to believe in things that you cannot see, but to believe them no less than the things you can actually see. So the Rabbi Yochanan says, there's no great kunz in believing that the Malachim are preparing for Mashiach if you see it with your own eyes. That's not spirituality. That's not Avodas Hashem. The entirety of Avodas Hashem is to believe with all of my heart in the things that I cannot see, but to believe in them no less than the things that I actually see. Incredible. Let's go back to Meisvei. So again, I will say now the Gemara question. So remember, according to one of the takeaways over here is that the entranceways to Yerushalayim are going to be 20 amos by 10 amos. So now the Gemara is the kasha. I'll bring you upright to Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Meir Omer Masayim Ama Kishtei Komo Shel Adam HaRishon. The entranceways to Yerushalayim will be 200 amos high. Twice the height of Adam HaRishon. Gemara quoting the Maimar Chazal that Adam was 100 amos high. 100 amos tall. So I'll say, so by the way, just as an aside, what do you do with that? That Adam was 100 amos tall? We'll say, so the Maharal brings down, he says, you don't have to take it literally that was his height. Rather, you're going to say often what height is metaphorical for is potential. Potential. Adam had a height of 100 amas. What Adam could have done, and we'll say, remember again, we saw the Gemara about Adam and Cain with Tshuva, right? What Adam could have done with all of that potential in any event. But in the future, what does it mean that the entrance to Yerushalayim is going to be twice the height? This is beautiful. Also listen to this. That in the future, the entrance to Yerushalayim is going to be twice the height of Adam Arishon. It means that again, in the future, the potential that we will be able to unlock within ourselves is infinite and overwhelming. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Huda Omer, Kuf Ama Keneged Heichal V'Koslav, 100 Amas. 100 amas. Shnei Mar Sher Baninu Kinetim Gudalu Binu Oreim Benosene Kizavios Bechutavos Tabnes Heichal. So we'll say, so which one is it? So now we have a contradiction. We just said before that the entranceway is 20 amas by 10 amas. Now we're saying it's 200 amas. So what's going on over here? So the Gemara says, no. Ki kam Rabbi Yochanan lekavid beizeka. Rabbi Yochanan was talking about the windows. In other words, we'll say in the entranceways, because they're going to be so tall, you want air circulation. The air ducts will, so to speak, be at a height of 20 amas. But the gates themselves will actually be much taller. Kikas, Gemara goes weiter. So my valeo letrufa, going back to the stream coming out of the Kodesh HaKadoshim, what does it mean that the leaves that grow from the stream will be for medicinal purposes? Rabbi Yitzchak bar Avdumi, Rav Chisda, Chadam ala hatir peshal maila. One will say that consuming those leaves, if a person is mute, will give them the ability to speak. Others say that if a woman is barren, it'll act as like a fertility treatment. Same idea. Rabbi Yochanan Amar L'Trufa Mamish. So Rabbi Yochanan says Mamish for medicinal purposes. My L'Trufa, what does this mean? Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani Amar L'Toar Panim Shal Ba'alei Hapeh. That ultimately, again, it will make the Talmidei Chachamim even more handsome, even more beautiful. Darsh Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Simon. Kol hamashche panav al divrei Torah ba'olam hazeh. It was incredible. Whoever blackens his face over words of Torah in this world. I will say, what does this mean, blacken my face? What it means is that these are statements of deprivation. Generally, again, a person doesn't eat the way they're supposed to eat, so their complexion becomes like a little bit ashen. So the idea over here is a person who indulges a little bit less, deprives himself a little bit more in order to put his focus on Torah. So therefore, again, I don't have the full measure of physical enjoyment in this world because I'm devoting myself to Torah. So what happens? HaKadosh Baruch Hu mafik zivav li'olam haba. So Hashem gives him a radiant countenance in the world to come. So literally, again, a person literally translated who starves himself for Torah. What does that mean? That means that literally, again, my whole focus is Torah to the point that I neglect or I just don't focus on certain material things. The Gemara says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu maspil li'olam haba. So in other words, if I'm missing meals, so to speak, for Torah in this world, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will satiate me in the world to come. Shnei Amar, Yirviyun mideshin beisecha, v'nachal adanecha sashkeim. So I will say, again, what's the theme over here? So what we said before. To grow spiritually requires sacrifice. It does. We have to give up certain things, whatever those things may be. And a lot of times, it's things in the material. And I will say, it's true in every aspect of our Yiddishkeit. I will say, can you imagine, by the way, imagine for a moment if you didn't have to pay tuition, right? Imagine, just imagine if you didn't have to pay tuition, right? Just imagine for your lifestyle what that would look like. What that would look like, right? We'd be having daf yomi in a yacht, right, or something like that, right? Imagine what it would look like. I will say, and again, it's not just true for tuition. There's a lot of things in our Yiddishkeit that really cause us to sacrifice. What the Gemara is telling us is just understand, whatever sacrifice you make for your Yiddishkeit in this world, the Ribono Shel Olam will give it back to you in the next. Just understand, right? So in other words, we give up time to learn Torah. We give up other things to learn Torah. We give up our money for tzedakah. And again, I will say, sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's really difficult. Just understand, whatever you sacrifice for the Ribono Shel Olam in this world, He will give you back multifold in the world to come. It's incredible. The Gemara goes weiter. It was Kezer Avdimi Amar HaKodesh Baruch Hu Litin L'Chol Tzadik V'Tzadik Malei Omso. In the future, right? HaKodesh Baruch Hu will give us bracha, a handful of bracha from Him. Shnei Amar Baruch Hashem Yom Ya'amos Lanu Hakel Yeshua Seinu Salah. Amar Abai B'Che'ev Shalom Arkein V'Lo Kvar. Can you say this? V'Lo Kvar Ne'amar Mi Madad B'Shalom Mayim V'Shamayim B'Zeres Tachim. So the Gemara says, Say if HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us a handful, the Rebbe Shalom's handful is massive. So how could it be that the Rebbe Shalom is going to give me a handful? I can't contain his handful. Elav Gemara says, Amar, my tamalo shchichas ba'agarata. Talking about, right, why did you not show up for shir? In shir, we learned this, we're learning about agarata. Talking about Rava, we said, Mishmei Dirava, Bar Mari, Asech Baruch Hu litin l'chol tzadik v'tzadik, Gimel mea va'asaros olamos. In the future, the Rebbe Shalom will give every single tzadik 310 worlds. Shneimar lahanchil ave yesh v'osvosem amalei yesh b'gematria plus mea v'asara havi. So we'll say whatever this means. The Cheshbon going to give us 310 worlds. Once again, what it means is it's understood that the tzaddik lives a life of deprivation. I will say, by the way, all of us are tzaddikim, and we all know that to grow in Torah, to be an Oved Hashem, I have to sacrifice, and we're making sacrifices consistently and daily. And Cheshbon Baruch Hu says, I promise you, whatever you sacrifice here, I will absolutely give back to you. Tanya, Rabbi over Meir says, "B'midah sha'ada moded modedin lo." The way in which you act, HaKohen Baruch Hu acts towards you. Midah keneged midah. Tichsiv b'sa'ah b'shalchat treivena. But good. Amar Rav Yeshua v'chi efshal Amar Kahn. Is that possible? But Gemara says, "Adam no sim lo omso lo ani ba'olam hazeh." HaKohen Baruch Hu no sim lo omso li olam haba. So I will say, could it be that if I give a handful to a pauper in this world, Hashem gives me a handful back in the world to come back? Siv shemayim bizarre tachin. The handful of HaKohen Baruch Hu is so much more than mine. So in other words, if you say midah keneged midah, what that means is whatever I give, I'll get. But if I give an ani a handful in this world, I get back so much more from HaKohen Baruch Hu. To which the Gemara says, "Va'ata iyata Amar Kahn ezu midah meruba midas tova midah." Ezu midah meruba midah tova meruba or midah paranos. So I'll say. So again, remember, even though we say midah keneged midah, right, that there's reciprocity. At the end of the day, for what is there a greater measure of reciprocity? For good or for bad? Amud days, I'll say, Amud days, Havi or flying. Havi Omer, Midah Tova Meruba Memidas Paranos. So I'll say, we know the answer to this. That Midah Tova always eclipses Midas Paranos. In other words, there's always reciprocity. But when it comes to reciprocity for bad, in other words, if I do bad, if the Baruch Hu is going to visit bad upon me, that's the way it works. But the reciprocity for that is a much more equal math. On the other hand, when I go ahead and I do good things, the reciprocity for that is even more. The Rebbe Shalom gives me back more than I have given. The Gemara says, "B'midas tova ksiv vayitzav shchakim mimal v'daltei shamayim pesach vayamter aleim man lechol u'b'midah parnos u'omer v'arubas hashayim niftechu b'midas parnos ksiv vayetzu v'ra b'pigre esufkan." So the Gemara says, you see over here that the midah tova is even greater than the midah ra. Just quickly, the Gemara says, "Midas parnos ksiv vayetzu v'ra b'pigre anashim haposhim ki bol tol asam lo samus v'asham lo sichbe v'hayu deron l'chol basar." I think it's talking about over here in the Moshe Mashiach, where ultimately, again, after we see the arrival of Mashiach, we're going to see, and there's going to be a valley of corpses, where all of those who died in the war of Gog and Magog will be piled. If a person sticks his finger in fire in this world, he's burned immediately. I will say this is beautiful. In the same way that the Ribono Shel Olam gives the koach for Rishonim to receive their punishment, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives koach to the tzaddikim to receive their reward. But I will say, but the incredible part of here is as follows: that even though we believe in this system of midah keneged midah, reciprocity, right? The reciprocity for good is much greater than the measure of reciprocity for bad. In other words, I know that when I do averos, there's going to be punishment for those averos. So we'll say that's the way it works. And whatever I do in this world, there's going to be reciprocity for it in the world to come. So whatever I did wrong, there's going to be reciprocal punishment for my misdeeds, assuming that I didn't do tshuva. If I do tshuva, then of course I can erase everything. But assuming I didn't do tshuva, there's reciprocity. But for tova, for good, I will say, there's not just simple direct reciprocity. Whatever good I do in this world, the Rebbe Shalom gives me schar, gives me reward, and the reward I get from HaKohen Baruch Hu far outweighs the good that I've done in this world. Incredible. Let's go ahead. Rabbi Kiva Omer, Afakar b'svar mechitzonim. Rabbi Kiva says, even someone who reads svar mechitzonim is called Rabbi Kores. What's the svar mechitzonim? Tana b'sifrei tzedukim. It refers to the books of the Tzedukim. Remember again, who are the Tzedukim? The Tzedukim were the people who did not believe in Torah Shabbat Peh. Rav Yosef Amar B'Sefer Ben Sira Nami Asur L'Mikrei. So again, Rav Yosef says it applies also to the book of Ben Sira. As we're going to see, the book of Ben Sira was a book of knowledge that was compiled by this guy Ben Sira. So the Gemara suggests over here that that's also called apikarsos. So the Gemara says, Amalei Abaye, my timer. Now, what's the reason, right? What's so bad about the book of Ben Sira, right? What is it that it has in there that's so bad? So maybe it means, because it says, do not skin a fish, right? Don't take the skin off of a fish. Rashi says, it's Rashi's on the right hand side, don't peel off the skin of the fish, because if you peel off the skin of the fish, you're going to waste the skin. We'll stop over for today. I'm going to give you a little bit of a Ben Sira cliffhanger. We'll say, by the way, we did excellent. Shkoyach. So we did a blot. Wrong blot, right? But we did, or most of the wrong blot. We'll say, Mirza Hashem, but incredible Gemara. Shkoyach, everyone. We'll continue picking up with Ben Sira tomorrow, Mirza Hashem. All right, Chavran Zoom, have a great day, everyone. Jerry, you're the closest to that stream coming out of the Kodesh HaKadosh, Mirza Hashem. I'll be so happy to see it soon.